Good evening, YouTubers. This is Nick's user, and no, I'm not doing a review on Centos 7. Nope, we're going to have a look at Db2. Db2 is a relational database. It supports the SQL language. It's an enterprise solution from IBM. Competes with the likes of MS SQL, you could say Postgres, MySQL, Oracle DB. It's a proprietary solution, not free and open source. However, it is considered one of the leading database brands out there. And today I'm going to show you how to install it, which I found a little bit counterintuitive. It's not at all like the normal source installs that we would do, and indeed there are two components to it. Just going to make it clear to you just now. I'm going to log in as root, and we're just going to have to take a little bit of a look at some of the files. I've already downloaded the files. They're quite large, so let's just have a look at these. I'll put them in this directory here, and let's have a look at these. So you are looking at some pretty large files here. Now, I found for my purposes, I did not need to download the data server client. What I'm basically trying to replicate is the environment that I had when I did course CE 121 from LearnQuest, which is a Db2 SQL workshop. I would say if you're entry level to SQL, that it'd be recommended learning. So they focus on Db2, and so what I'm going to do here is basically replicate the environment, although Db2 has updated since the version that they showed us, but the principles remain nonetheless pretty similar. They didn't actually show us on the course how to install SQL, or Db2 SQL, so I had to learn this myself. So you're not going to have to download this one, but you are going to need to download this, which is actually the back end. It's the database itself, and you're going to need the Data Studio. And these can be both downloaded from the IBM website. However, you will need a login to do it and explain why you want them, which company you belong to and that sort of thing. I guess I have a legitimate use at work, but I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't mind anyone grabbing this and having a bit of a roll. There is a community edition. I recommend that you just try the community edition because it is free. It's not free as in open source, it's as in free of cost, free as in beer, not free as in freedom. So anyway, without any further ado, because there's enough ado in this, because the files are rather large, we'll just start. And what we're going to do first is we're going to install this. So now that's going to unpack into the expc directory, as you can see rolling down here. Now we're going to go into that just now, and the file that you want to use, it's probably not entirely clear which one you'd want to use here. This would seem like a good candidate, but I don't recommend it. You would go with this one. This actually has the graphical setup. It will set all your user accounts up and stuff that you need to basically get a good default install. So we'll just roll with that just now. So you can see here that it's going to bring up a graphical user interface for us to navigate our way through. Version 10.5 of Db2, as you can see. You can have a look at the welcome message. There's a bit of information on the web page if you want to use that. There's some release information, including some release notes and what's new based on what's changed since the last version, as you can see. There's also the pre-install planning. Now I'm using Centos 7. You should have no dramas if you're using Centos 7. If you're using any other distributions, you might want to consider taking a look at this and seeing what you actually need. I found a couple of scant warnings about 32-bit libraries that I didn't have installed, but so far it hasn't caused me any dramas whatsoever. I did try a similar install on Debian, however I did do it on Debian testing, and so I'm not going to flay IBM for it not entirely working out as planned. However, I do think that some of that is to do with what I did, the inexperience with setting it up. upgrade information, you can take a look at that if you're doing an upgrade. And finally, what we're going to do is navigate to the install, which is the Db2 Express C version 10.5.5. This is the one that basically is very similar to the enterprise version. It's not a scalable, it only runs on, I think it's 2 cores and 16 gig of RAM. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it's the 2 cores there. You can take a look at the actual limitations on the website, on the IBM website. I'm not going to navigate to there now. It's a bit of a minefield of lots and lots of data, lots and lots of information. It's basically a knowledge base, so it's just huge, and they have the knowledge base for each version that you could be using of Db2. So we'll just install new. It's going to take a little bit to run up, and we might, just so we're not distracted with the background there, we'll just focus ourselves on the wizard itself, and we might even just minimize that for now. So we just go next. I suggest, if you like to, read through this biblical length document, which happens to be a license agreement. Fine, let's accept that for now, and you can take a look and choose. I'm just going to choose the typical. I'm not an experienced user with Db2 in terms of setting it up, so I think a smart choice is just to choose this typical default behavior. You can just view the features in here as well. Let's just click on that now, so you can take a look at that. We'll just close. I don't need it for now. So we're going to install Db2, and we're going to save our set. If you get any dramas at all, you can take a look at this response file. It's going to give you the log of its install. Okay, so okay, next. Now, so far I've been installing /opt. You could probably choose something else, but again, recommend the default settings. There you can see here that I've chosen to allocate, after all things are said and done, around 10 gig. 11 gig of storage, you know, and it's only going to take up about 1 gig of that. So let's just continue. That seems to be fine. It's going to ask us for about 3 different users. I think it's 3 different users. So it's just going to ask you for a password. You could use an existing user if you wanted to. So it does give you that option, but we're going to do things the way it suggests, I suppose. So let's go next. Create a Db2 instance. Yes, we will want to create the Db2 instance. We do want to access the database immediately after install, because that's one of the testing procedures to actually see if you can do that. So we'll just go next. And this is the user account that we're actually going to be running things out of. So in a moment, after this is all said and done, I'm going to be logging out of this user account, the Nix user account, and just continuing on with the rest of it. But we do need to install the Data Studio immediately after this. So after the Data Studio is installed, we'll be able to do all that. This is a fenced user. I guess it's like a sandbox. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess it's for just using stored procedures and stuff like that, so you can automate things a little bit easier if you've got multiple SQL queries that you need to do. So yeah, let's just put in the good old password there. Now, of course, this is just a demo, so I'm putting the same password in there. I wouldn't recommend you keep the same password between these users, otherwise there's no point in user segregation. It's just going to tell you here what it's about to do. I suggest you take a bit of a squiz at that and then just run finish. Okay, it's going to go ahead. This will take a little bit of time because, again, you know, we're looking at around a 900 meg to 1 gig install. So yeah, as I say, I used this on course. It was a pleasure to use. I followed up immediately at home using Postgres because I was a little uncertain about how to get Db2 running on my Nix boxes. I do have a Postgres install on my server, and I have played around with that a fair bit, just using the command line tool. I haven't found a front end like Data Studio, which I am using for Db2. That said, I think there's something called Squirrel SQL or something like that, where you can basically user front end. So here it is. It's just telling you that we've got this DB2 install that you'll need to log on to later. So we'll just go finish. The next thing we're going to do is actually install the Data Studio. So we're just going to cd back out of our install directory. Now I suggest, because this, where is it? This guy here, the Data Studio, if I just unpack it immediately in this directory, it's going to give me dramas because it's just going to put everything everywhere. So I'm just going to go tar xvvf. Let's see if this works, and I'm going to change directory to a work, and let's just see. Okay, so it's not going to do it because there's no work directory, so we'll just make directory work, and then we can just continue that. Again, quite large, takes a little while to do these things, and plus I am running in a virtual machine. The benefit of this is that I have a consistent environment. I've basically cloned the original install of Centos because I made a couple of minor changes to allow it to be possible for me to grab files from my server. These files are located on my server permanently because I may need them in future, but I definitely won't need this install in future because I already have another one, and I just want to show you how to do things here. So let's just go to work, and we'll see that we've got a bunch of stuff here. Disk 1 and Disk 2 have actually the installation files and whatnot. This is the one that we're going to be targeting here. I haven't tried this one yet, but this one seems to work quite nicely. So let's just go here. This has basically been an effort in trial and error for me. So you might find some better advice in the knowledge base on how to do this. I suggest you take a look at it. Now it's not going to install the Data Studio straight away. It's going to suggest that you install, well not suggest, it's mandated that you install the installation manager. I guess it's able to make sure that things get installed correctly. So let's just go next. I'm going to accept this license agreement. However, we have another Bible length document to look through there. So I suggest you take a read of that before accepting the license, and we're just going to continue, and we're going to install. So you can see it supports a number of languages. It's kind of impressive. We're starting to run a little lowish, I guess, compared to what I started with. I started with 20 gigs of space. We're now down at 8 gigs of space. But fortunately, I've tested this, it does work. So we'll restart the installation manager. Now, the next step to do is we haven't installed Data Studio yet, so we're just going to click install. We're going to select the Data Studio version that we want. There's only one there. If you try and check for other versions, it's just going to say nothing. It's got nothing there. And we'll just go next. Okay, again, another Bible length document for you to take a look through. I suggest you take a look at that before accepting the license terms. And we'll go next. We're going to install 64-bit. Just obviously check that for your particular architecture. In this case, running Centos 7 on a 64-bit architecture. Again, I'm going to default for the English language, but there are other choices for you there. And I'm just going to add, I'll just give that a tick to complete what it's doing. I'm going to add SQL execution because that's my main use case. I want to be able to execute SQL in a nice IDE, I guess you could say, a integrated development environment for SQL. And we'll just go install. So it's just going to take a moment to install that. As you can see, we're starting to get lowish on the space. Suggest that probably ideal if you're going to be running a lot of stuff from your virtual machine or your install that you have probably about 30 gig or more. So that will just take another moment or two to complete, and then what we're going to do is we're going to log out, and we're going to log in as Db2 Inst1. In doing so, we'll be able to access all of the features that we require within the development environment for Db2. It's almost complete now, which is pretty pleasant. I mean, I am running on a solid state drive, but with the overhead of a virtual machine, it's fairly good. can notice it's under a little bit of load there. The display was having a few jags. There we go. So the packages are installed. You can view the log file if you want to. In this case, I don't want to. So we just can close that now, and now we're going to log out, and we're going to change to the Db2 Inst user. So Inst1 there. We're going to put our password in. Now these are new accounts, so you're going to see all the normal GNOME stuff that is expected. Okay. Might be that oh, here we go. It's just a finger fault on the first entry. So here we are. We're back in CentOS 7's GNOME environment. It's giving us the welcome stuff. You can dismiss that. Just give it a moment to pull that one up, and we'll close that as well. So what you're going to need to do is go into the terminal, and there is a command called Db2 sample. Now this command is going to create a sample database for you. Db2 contains a sample database so that you can test it. This is an important step to make sure that if you're going to create a database later on, that your instance is actually working. This actually takes a little while, as it has multiple tables. In the course that I did, we only used 4 tables with several fields in each of those tables, but probably in one of them the maximum number of records would have been about 60 records, I think. So it's not, in the instance that we used at the course, it wasn't too large, but in this case it's installing the full sample database, which has triggers and all sorts of things going on, some of which I really don't understand yet. But as I learn these things, I'll pass them on to you, as I normally do with this sort of development work / admin work that I tend to like doing, along with the distro reviews that I've been doing lately. But it's always good to do a little bit of technical work. I suppose while we're at it, we can just take a look at the Firefox, not the Firefox, the IBM web page, and just go IBM DB2, and we're not actually going to have any connectivity there. We're just going to make sure that wired is connected, and we'll just go there. CentOS by default doesn't connect you straight up to that, so let's have a look. Db2 Database Software. So yeah, and it's Db2 for Linux, Unix and Windows. You can find all about it. Here's Express-C that I'm using. As you can see over here, it's created the database, it's connecting to the database sample, it's creating the tables and data in schema. So you can find out more about it on the IBM website. Recommend you do so. Again, if you're going to want to download this and try it for yourself, you really are going to need to get a login with them. So we'll just close that just now, and let's do our first test. So our first test is going to be just typing Db2. It's going to give us the Db2 Shell Prompt, and then you can see here, you can type connect to sample, and it does so. It tells you what it's connected to. Okay, we can list tables, I think it is, and we have a lot of tables here. I had like only 4 on my course, but we just got a huge number of tables. Apparently there were more on the instance in the course, but I did notice there are also more entries than in this particular table. There are more entries than what we had on course. So they obviously either did some presets for it or some modifications. So what we can do just to test it is, like, for example, select star from employee, not case sensitive. Employee is this table here, and we can just get all the records there. And that's going to be our typical test as we run through the next step. So we can just close that now, close terminal. It should be worth mentioning at this point that you can also get the command line processor, and you can do exactly the same thing that I just did. It just takes you straight through to the Db2 shell just there. So the next thing that we'll want to have a go at is the Data Studio client. So just give that a while to run up. I've got this feeling it runs on Java, if I remember correctly. So, but just give that a moment. Okay, what I suggest you do at this point is asking you to set up a workspace. It's basically where your folders, where your projects will be stored in a directory. I don't like that term folder. That's a Windows term for me. Yep. So projects in a directory called workspace. We're going to use this as the default. If you do not click this, it's going to ask you each time you start up. So just click it. Go OK. Just give it a moment. Okay. Now I'm new to navigating around here, and I felt that it was a little bit counterintuitive. Let's just type run. Okay, so that was okay. I've had a few little dramas in trying to get where I needed to go. So at the moment you can see here no connection. Now if I try just straight up select start from employee, okay, and then I've got to press run. No, I've noticed here that there's a little bit of a graphical glitch. I don't know if it's because I'm running it in GNU, but you can press it anyway and see how it's suggesting. Select a connection profile. We're going to select a sample. We'll just cancel it just now. You can do the same thing this way. Preempt it, go finish. Okay, you'll need to put your password in, and you'll need to put your user account name in. If you've forgotten what your user account name is, I haven't, but you can just run up a terminal, and if the shell prompt doesn't show your username, which it should on most modern distributions, but you can go who am I? Oh, who am I? And you can just grab that. Okay, and we'll just put that in there. Okay, and put our password in. You can choose to save the password. I don't know if that'll invoke any key rings or any hashing or anything like that, so I'm not going to include it. I have a tendency not to try to get software to remember passwords. I try to remember them in my mind. Sometimes that doesn't work. Okay, so let's just see how that, let's just play that. It succeeded. Okay, we can see the status if we want to. You can see the execution time. This is important because if you do some queries that are not optimized or they're very large queries, you should notice a step up in this execution time. And we can also check out the result here. We can just maximize this screen here and take a look at that. It puts out a nice record. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed finding out how to install and slightly configure Db2 along with the Data Studio. If you did enjoy this video, if you can please just like the video, and if you like this sort of content or the distro reviews that I do or other tech content including C++ programming or shell scripting, please remember to subscribe. Anyway guys, I hope you had a good one with me. I enjoyed it. Good night.